Welcome back, everyone. Today we got, I guess this will be part 3 of our 361 racer. We got our head all finished up. Got the bolts in stock. We got to trim a little bit off this aftermarket cylinder base. I'll show you that in a minute. But this casting was pretty rough on the bottom. It's a good thing it had a real thick gasket stock. I don't think you'd be able to base gasket delete this one by itself. But I should have enough material left on this head to trim just 4 to 5 thousandths off that base to true it up. Because we want to make sure these are parallel, this head surface and the base surface. Don't want it wobbling around on there, because that's all extra stress, could break in the air, and we don't want that happening, especially when we're pushing a lot of power. But we'll get this cylinder turned, trued up, and then we'll be ready to check our squish. But before that, I'll show you a little bit of close-up of our finished head. It's not very pretty up close, but everything functions and we'll be able to keep our covers. I'll show you that. Here's our head. Got the stud for the top cover, spark plug hole. That little boss welded there, right there. That is for the handle spring. Like I said, it's not very pretty on the top side. This notch holds the grommet to hold the other prong of the top cover. But we just need functional, we don't need pretty. That's what we got. So hopefully, I need to get an O-ring cut up. We'll get that done here. But let me get that base trimmed. We'll come back and we'll check the squish. But here we have our cylinder for the 361 racer. This is our clone cylinder. And I'm just lightly skimming the base. Whatever this coating is that they use pre-plating or to protect the cylinder, it had some gnarly wrinkles on the bottom and it wasn't even sitting flat. I took about 4 thousandths off of this base surface and I still have a few spots that aren't cleaned up. That two-piece head, we want everything as flat and both of these surfaces parallel, top and bottom. That way everything clamps down nice and even. But we'll get this spun. I'll take another couple thousandths, and I did leave probably 5 to 7 thousandths hopefully wiggle room when I made that head. So hopefully this will bring our squish right around that 20 thousandths mark. But I'm going to turn this on, we'll spin this off the base, and then we can go from there. Alright, that ought to do the trick. Got into it a little bit on the corner there, but our sealing surface is good. We'll just say we needed clearance on those corners. But that is the nice thing about these open top cylinders. We can use these expanding mandrels and they dial in real nice. So I'll cut a little bit off the extension just to make sure we're not hitting nothing. And then we'll pull this off and we can get a bolt down, check the squish, and we'll be ready to move forward with this project. You can almost see some little specks there by the extension. Just a little bit of witness left from this casting. Then you can see right up here where I just thumped the corners off real quick. Just because I was trying to film and hold my crank at the same time. But this one did cut up nice. Nice through bore. And we've got our bolts now to where we can put this head on, check the squish. So we'll get it set up, check the squish real quick. Now, there's one other plus about not having a head on here. Checking squish is a lot easier. Got a dab of grease on top of the piston. Now this will apply check and squish on anything. I normally just do 2 sides. This is 32 thousandths rosin core solder. And I fold it in a U-shape or a horseshoe, whichever you prefer, and put it right over top of where the wrist pin is. Same thing with this one. We'll fold our solder, just a nice U shape, about 1/4 inch by 3/8 or 1/2. Slide it all the way over. Come down below top dead center just a bit. That way we don't smudge it around. Get our head seated in, like so. Now these bolts are just a touch too short still. These are 80 millimeter. I needed 85. Those are in the mail. But these will get enough thread to We can get enough thread with these to get a squish reading. We'll do a real light crisscross pattern. And evenly torque these down. See, even I forget the pattern sometimes. I still need to get our O-ring cut, but this is metal on metal. It doesn't feel too bad right there, but we'll see what it gives us. Just rock it back and forth until you can't feel much, if any, resistance at all. Now if you use too thick of a piece of solder, it'll throw off your reading, because it'll actually stretch things and it'll rebound enough. It'll rebound enough to throw off the reading. So I want to use as thin as possible, or I like the 32 thousandths because I can put 2 or 3 pieces together, twist them up, and it'll still compress nice and easy, but it'll stay together if you twist them enough. The solder stays together if you twist it up real tight, to where you can still get a good reading off of it. But we'll see what we have, and then we can lay this out for porting. Now as long as our squish is still good, we'll go through, lay it out and port it. Now I'm sorry guys, can't share these kind of numbers on the internet, but no, I'm sorry, I can't share these numbers. There's too many other competitors watching, and we gotta try and keep some advantages. I mean, you'll be able to get an idea if you trained your eye about how much. I'll show you the layout lines and everything. But, like I said, we got to keep some advantages. Trying to get this done in time for Sawfest 2024. So, well, that 12 months is going to fly by. And I'll probably still be struggling to get this one done before Sawfest. That's looking like a solid 19. Let me get my calipers. Alright, let's check these. PTO side. Whoops. We're a little bit tight. We're about 16 thousandths. So that means I need to shave a little bit off the head. That's going to be tough. 16 thousandths again. So that tells me that my base and my head are parallel. But I'm a little bit tight. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to shave 5 thousandths off the top of this piston. Because I have all these doohickeys welded to the head. I can't get it in the jaws. I'm not going to fight with it. I'm not going to risk warping it. Normally, if you don't have all these posts welded to your head, this step you can just grab back onto, do your chamber work, everything else. I was hoping I left enough room to drop that cylinder for cleanup, and it didn't work that way. So we'll cut off the top of the piston. That 5 thousandths doesn't seem like a lot, but at, I don't know, I'd like to think we can get 15, 16, maybe 17,000 RPM out of this. That 5 thousandths is going to get, might be the difference between hitting and not hitting when things start going that fast. So we'll do that. We'll set this piston up. I'll take 5 thousandths off of it. Then I can lay out the ports. But before we do that, I want to show you what all we're working with here. Let me lightly put this head back on. And I'll show you the overall fit and appearance that we're going for. So like I said, this is a stock appearing race saw. So that means that we have to run the muffler, which you can see in a couple pieces right there. And that means we have to have pretty much all the covers on it. Anything else goes, but I was a little disheartened to learn that we aren't allowed to run nitrous in this class. Which I mean, I guess when you run nitrous, it just turns out who has it tuned for the biggest spray and whose stuff actually held together. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a better or worse motor. So I get where they're coming from with that. But I got that on. Let's throw this handle on, and I'll show you what we get working with. Alright, handle. Let me get a shorter bolt for that so I know it's not going to bottom out. So we got our handlebar mount bolt right here. That bolts up nice. Handlebar holds it down. Put a little bit more on those just so it's not wobbling around. Alright, this grommet goes for our top cover. Worked out real well to notch the head right here. Let's see if this fits with that spring on. These still go in our lineup holes. That one goes in our grommet there. Alright. Good there still. Got the stud for the top cover nut. Alright, got that all tightened down. So our top cover's not going anywhere. Picking it up by the top cover here. So hopefully that'll hold up to the vibrations. Now we are using a 10mm spark plug. No other reason other than to keep our compression up. But if you look, let me get this threaded in. This still holds our plug boot just about right. Alright, that's good enough. Get our boot attached, turn it up here. Let's get our back cover. Put our back cover on. And you'll see. Once we get all the other pieces, that'll sit right there like so. And we got stock appearing race saw. Just like that. So I'm pretty happy with the way that head turned out. Like I said, those welded on blocks, kind of a pain in the butt. Now we got to shave the piston to get our final squish. But here's a tidbit for the people that have these 361s. You can heat up this seam with a propane torch or an oxyacetylene torch. Pry it open and pull this muffler right apart. Let me show you the contraption inside. This baffle goes in it just like that. All this is a deflector, and it catches some gas and it restricts the outlet going out the factory hole. We're not going to use any of that, so you just grind those spot welds. There's 3 spot welds that hold it in. One there, one there, one there. Grind those out, pop that right out, and you've got an empty can. So with this muffler, just like our last ones, what we'll end up doing, so we'll get this put back together, and we'll just do a nice large outlet down here at the bottom. But since we didn't move our cylinder any, let's get that bolt out of here so you guys can see it. But since we didn't move our cylinder any, it's basically going to be no different than a gasket delete. Look something like that. So we're not running a brake flag, so that's going to be all open there. So we got our head figured out. Need to shave a little bit off the piston. I'll go do that real quick. Come back, we'll get our porting done. Then it's just a matter of hooking the carb up. This is going to run larger carb, larger boot. I'm keeping that kind of hush-hush. But if we end up getting another one of these or two, maybe we'll reveal some of the secrets in this one as we try and beat it, because we do have a year to get them done. Alright, so we got the top of our piston shaved down. Now we can check our squish. Should be 25 thousandths. I took a little extra off just to be safe. So let's get our solder. Same thing, just a small piece, a little bit of U-shape. I do need a little bit of grease though. Let me go grab that. Try that. A little dab of oil on the top ought to keep it from sliding. Our little piece of solder. Okay, get our head bolted back down. Now I decided to leave a little bit of extra clearance on this, just for the simple fact this is an aftermarket saw. So we're not sure exactly how good these tolerances are. Hey, get in there. Come on, you can do it. Good job. So we're not sure exactly how good these tolerances are, but that extra 3/4 thousandths or so that we might have shouldn't hurt anything. Make sure our head is down. Yep. Go through our little torquing process. Alright. That ought to be plenty enough to get a good squish reading. Already feels much better. But like I said, we'll wiggle it back and forth. Make sure we have what we're looking for. Now the machine finish on these cast pistons kind of hit and miss. This one got a little bit gummy on me. I sanded it the best I could, but it does have a little bit of texture. It's not that pretty billet look. But I do think we are going to go that route. I've always wanted to try it, and let me know what you guys think, but I think we're going to end up trying to make a piston. Make a piston exactly the heights we want, the ports we want, the pin we want, everything exactly how we want it. Then we can run a thinner ring, single ring, everything. Alright, so this side, right at 23 thousandths. Let go of it. The oil's working a little too well. Right at 23 thousandths. So both sides 23 thousandths. We're good to go there. Let me wipe this off. Double check our bore. Get our piston all wiped off. So that is one nice thing about not having a head too. We can just put our ring in from the top, pull our cylinder off, and mark it. So that's bottom dead center. Let me grab a degree wheel. So you can see we're just going to be squaring up the transfers, almost no mark on them. And we're just bumping up the exhaust a little bit. We'll widen it, shape it. But not much happening with the transfers. Not much happening with the exhaust right now. But if we have to, we can always go back in and try and change things up. But this is where round one's going to be. We'll tune some things up, and that's it. And we'll end up dropping the intake some too. But the intake right now is at 154, so we'll probably end up, yeah, high 160s, maybe 170. We'll just see where it takes us. But this is where we're at for now, so we'll start grinding, and I'll bring you back once it's all ready to bolt on. So here we have our finished cylinder. Widened and raised the exhaust port a little bit. Flattened the uppers, got into the lowers a little bit. And we dropped our intake and widened our intake a bit. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going to be sharing the port heights or duration on this one. But I do have something interesting that I think everybody else may enjoy. So let me get back over to the bench. So now that we're getting close to finishing this one up, we still need to finish modifying our muffler. We'll just do our normal lower exit, large outlet out the front. This is gutted. Got our squish set, pistons all done, modified. Port work's all done. So we need, what do we need? Need our muffler, probably a timing advance, change our fuel lines out, and make a throttle linkage for the new carb. And I'll tell you, it's going to get a big carb. But other than that, we'll be ready to put this one together. I want to say thank you to the guys at bluesaws.com. They were generous enough to get us another 366 Holzforma, and we got a kit saw coming our way. So if you are in the market for a 366 or any of the clone saws or parts, check out bluesaws.com. Those guys will definitely hook you up. get you the parts you need, and at a good price too. So with that other one, same exact thing, but I plan on doing 3 different levels this year. So every other time that I've done multiples of the same build, I just shot for the moon and tried going all the way with everything. The 170s, 4 170s, all identical, totally wild. Well, the 366, believe it or not, this is gonna be a spicier one. But what we're gonna do with the one in the box is we're just gonna do something everybody can do. So we'll have a mild wood sport, the spicier one. So we are getting a kit saw too from the guys at Blue Saw. That one will get an OEM crank, coil, flywheel. That'll still get a big carb, but we're going to go even further with the porting and the cylinder style. We'll probably do an intake block on that one, maybe even an exhaust block to get more in, more out. Just go full tilt on that one. We'll see how it all plays out. But so we'll have a mild that should run, cut, function. So this one right here should be a pretty spicy build. We got our full port work, lots of duration, 2-piece head, big carb, everything else. And then we're going to go even further with our third one. Well, my thought process is the mild one, as long as it runs, cuts, makes the cookies, it should at least place. If this one does everything just right, it should place well. And the other one, we're probably going to try and work up a nitro carb. Feed it nitromethane, probably a 20% blend that I have. So if we can dial in the nitro, all the ports, get everything working just right, that one should even blow this out of the water by 15-20%. But I think we're just going to keep this one a gas saw. And we'll bounce back and forth between our gas saws. And then once we get to our nitro saw, there'll be a couple of other things that we can't show on that too. But I do want to thank the people that are nice enough behind the scenes to help us out. Some of the race stuff, some of the gas stuff, some of the nitro stuff. There's a lot of people offering lots of advice and information that has been invaluable to get us this far. So I do want to give a shout out to those. And also your comments. There's a lot of comments down below in all of these videos that either make perfect sense, spark an idea. So I do want to thank you guys for leaving comments. It really helps me out on certain problems or projects that I'm working on. And it also helps the YouTube thing out. The more comments we have, the more YouTube likes to send it to other people. So that definitely helps. So thank you for leaving the comments too. So I just hope, a lot of people said they'd be interested in a mild type build. So that's what we'll do with our other 366. It's identical to this. Well, identical to what this started as. And we'll just do, I'll probably even do something anybody can do that's watching. Gasket delete, muffler mod, timing advance, and maybe we'll port it just with the piston. Or maybe we'll scratch around in there. I don't know. We'll talk about that as we go. But let me know what you guys think about that idea. Mild, wild, and absolutely insane is what I'm planning for these 3 builds. So hopefully one of them at least makes all the cuts at Sawfest. That's what my goal is. But we're almost done wrapping this up. So next time you see it, hopefully it'll be making engine noises. And just a quick little recap. Got our 2-piece head, combustion chamber, angled 10mm plug. We've got chopped cylinder. This is just our factory cylinder off of this. Got our port work in. And we have a heavily modified piston. Now I will say this piston setup, the piston alone is about 18 grams lighter than when we started. So who knows, maybe this piston will just disintegrate. But if it holds up, we might be doing something right and be on the right track. But we'll just have to see once we get it all put together. So thanks a lot everyone for sticking around through this build. I know I've enjoyed building it. But next time, hopefully we'll see some, hopefully we'll hear some engine noises, maybe see some dyno runs, and probably actually put this in the wood. If it has decent manners, who knows, maybe we'll cut some firewood with it. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, thanks a lot everyone.